this session is going to be recorded, and it's going to be sent out to you as an opportunity to review it, or if you have any questions, you can give us a call as well. I know that we have a number of people who's going to be joining us, and so as we go through this session, if you have any questions, please feel free to put your comments or questions in the comment section. And I promise to go over as many as I can. Hopefully this is going to be a very interactive where we all are talking and learning about what is going on in our organization. And so again, my name is Sarah Michel. I am the founder and CEO of People Architectural Group. People Architectural Group is a human resources company that is focusing on talent acquisition and talent development. So today we are going to talk about how to develop a training plan. And so we will start by just give you guys a little overview of the organization that People Architectural Group. People Architectural Group is a human resources company. We focus on, like I said, talent acquisition and talent development. We support small to mid-sized businesses in the areas of talent acquisition and talent development. And so when some people decide to work with us, some of the courses that our services include talent acquisition services, which is the training and development. We also do talent development. The training and development and with talent acquisition is the recruiting, excuse me. We also do DIS assessment. We do DIS training, and we also do DIS assessments for organizations who have a dedicated person who does training, and they need some assistance to help them with their own where they can facilitate the training. We provide the DIS assessment codes. We also do predictive index assessment and tools. We support these from a training and development. And when you think about organizations who are really looking to streamline their employee, whether you are bringing candidates into an organization focusing on the employee experience, or you are focusing on the candidate experience, we provide support for all of that. And then we also do HR services, and depends on what projects you have, we are able to provide some support to you as well. So this is some of the services that People Architectural Group offers. For our topics today, we are dealing with how to create an how to create a training and development plan. When you think about a training and development plan, we are going to focus on how to create the goal. And today we'll talk a little bit about how to create the goal for the training and development program. We'll talk about identifying core competencies. What are the core competencies? Where do we find them? How do we make sure that we are aligning them with what we need to do in order for us to hit the ground running and have an effective program. We'll talk about gap analysis. We'll also talk about choose the correct courses. So if you've gone through, you have a goal, you have competencies, you know what those are, and then you also have gap analysis. We deal with the gap analysis. What does that mean? And then if you do all of that, you should be able to be very successfully choose correct courses for your class offerings. So we'll talk a little bit about by having a great training and development program, you'll be able to foster a culture of self-awareness. So you are providing your employees with the tools that they need to be successful. They understand what they bring to the table. They understand themselves. They are able to take action on engagement. They are able to participate. You know, we talk in diversity and inclusion, we talk about inclusion, but people feel included and they are able to participate when they understand what it is that they are supposed to be doing. We'll pinpoint areas of disengagement within organization. If you don't have a training and development, if you don't have ways for your employees to engage and for your employees to understand what they bring to the table, that's where the disengagement comes from the organizational level and also at the employee, at the team level. We'll take steps to improve employee experience, which is what happen when we have an effective training and development plan. We'll talk about aspire and develop employees. How does the program aspire and develop employees? How do they create new career path? You know, when you have a training and development, we'll talk a little bit about that and the competencies, and that's where the career path come out. And then we'll also talk about strengthening communication. Is there a communication problem? How do we strengthen that within our organization? How do we make sure our employees understand what they need, who they are, how they contribute to the organization? All right, if there's any question, please feel free to put them into the in the comment section. While I am going to the next section to start, can we talk about how many of you have currently, how many people have a training and development plan at their organization at the moment? Feel free to put that in the comment section. Yeah, so a training and development, I think there are multiple parts into that. Some of it is you have need assessment and learning objective. This is where the goal of the training and development comes out. We also have communication, we have a learning style. We are, as part of the plan, you're talking about what are the learning style of your audience. We're also talking about the delivery model. We also talk about delivery style. What is the style of delivery of the course? What is the budget? What is the content you're going to be delivering? And what's some of the measuring tools you're going to use to make sure that the training you are providing is meeting the needs of your organization? So we're going to start out of all of the things that I just talked about. I think the need assessment and learning objective is the part we're going to be focusing on today. We're going to be talking about what is that, and that's really focused on the diagnose. We are diagnosing what is it that we are trying to do. I think a lot of leaders are executing. We have business strategies we are trying to focus on. We're trying to implement business strategies. And as we are building those business strategies, we need to help our people execute those. So those business strategy, those goals that you have, that is where, when you're thinking about creating a goal for your training program, you are focusing, you need to kind of look at what are the mission and vision of my organization? What is my organization trying to do? How do I position the people within my organization to be able to do that? Are there any gaps? What are their strengths? Once I know their strengths, once I understand what the job is, and I understand what the goal of the organization is, I understand what are the gaps within the individuals, then we can start looking at we can start looking into selecting courses and so on and so forth. I think it's very overwhelming sometimes to really start thinking. You have to start thinking about, oh my gosh, I need to provide courses. But a lot of time when training and development fails, they fail because we left the people out. We did not take the time to really diagnose our problem, to understand what is our organizational culture, what is our organizational goal, and to align those trainings to those the course offerings that we are providing to the training, to what the organization is trying to do. So we don't align the goal of the organization with the courses that we are doing, and we don't really take the time to do the diagnose and understand what it is that we are trying to do. If you think about a doctor, I think when I think about a doctor has so many things that they are doing. I can think about myself. Every year, I go to the doctor, and the doctor starts with the same thing. They go and figure out what is wrong with me. They diagnose me. Even if I had a blood work the year before, they still do a blood work before. And even if I, even if I say I am healthy, they're still going to check me out and ask me questions to understand if anything changed from the previous year to when they are seeing me right now. And when I think about that, I think the same way with training and development within the organization. We have so many data points that sometimes we ignore. I think data points that we have, apart from the strategic plan, the mission and vision, those data points we can't lose track of. And so those data points are the reviews that you do on a quarterly basis. Another data point could be the exit interviews that we are hearing from employees when they leave the organization. I always tell people, when you leave an organization, this is the time you let it out. You just tell people like it is. You are able to share the things that you are sharing. It's not so much for you because you're exiting the organization, but you are providing resources, information, so those who are staying, it'll help those who are staying. So management can use that information to be able to better write policies, better write different things for the organization to make sure that we are meeting the needs of those who are a member of our organization. Also, I think about one-on-ones. Managers are doing one-on-ones, so you have that's data point as well. You also have data points of surveys that you do on a yearly basis, right? You need to kind of look at all of those and take notes. I like to put themes together, and those themes help me understand what it is that where my organization is today. So when creating a plan, when creating the goal, you want to measure what matters. And looking at all of those data points will help you understand what are the goals of your organization right now. So you know the strategic plan, you know the mission and vision. You look at where the organization is going. So you measure that. And then you also analyze the evidence. What are some of the benefits for training? So for the trainee. So when I'm thinking about, okay, I am going to do a training, I want to look what benefit it is to them, and I can communicate that at every step of the way. Communication will never go away. So you want to make sure that you'll continue to drive that and communicate that. You want to prescribe improve action. The things that you are going to do is to approve action, to approve the betterment of the organization. So some questions that I always ask myself when I'm creating the goal is that, what are you designing? Are you designed to deliver on the goal? Am I set right now with the resources that I have, with the people that I have? Am I designed, or the people that are working within the organization, are they designed to deliver on the goal that they have? Do we have the right people in the right place? Do they have the right skill set in order for them to deliver on what I need them to do? Are we hiring, and are we intentionally hiring to support and drive the needs of the business? What is the need of my business, right? You can't go and start a training program without knowing the needs of the business. Because when we write this job description, when we continue to hire people, we want to make sure that we hire the people with the right skills to be at the right place so they can be successful. And also, are you motivating your people in the way that motivates and boosts engagement? So those are some questions that I always ask when I'm creating the goal. And finally, are there any trouble spots under the surface that could risk the business? And again, when you look at, we just talk about all of the data points that you have. And so you want to make sure that you look at all of those data points And then you want to also look at those questions, those 4 questions that we are asking, to make sure that we are setting up the right goal. So for you to set the right goal, you need to make sure that you are asking a lot of questions. You are talking to managers, especially, I know a lot of people on this call are HR individuals. Well, we are not managing the people that we are creating a training for. And so it is important to communicate with your manager. It's important to ask them about those one-on-ones they are having. What are the themes, what some theme issues that they see that continue to come up, that maybe some of the gaps that they are seeing. Once we know that, we can make sure that we create a goal that is specifically aligned to that. So you need to keep in mind that the objective of the organization, you need to keep in mind the goal of the organization. These goals should guide you as you develop your training plan. For example, if the main goal, if the main goal of your business is to increase sales, right? You'll want to make sure that you convey that to your trainee. You want to make sure that you're creating programs that will align to that. Is there any question about that before I move on to the next slide? Is there any questions, Carla? Any comments? Okay, so we'll go to the next one. So competency. So we just created a goal. For our program. If, like I said, you want your training goal to be compatible to the overall objective, to the overall goal of your organization. You want to be aware of what you want to accomplish. And so when we look at core competencies are really looking at what are the skill set that I need to perform those jobs. What do I need? What do my people need to be successful at their job? And so as I'm looking at core competencies, I am looking at now that you have a vision for professional success, the next step is translating it into the important skills you will need to make the vision a reality. When those skills have been observed, you need to be able to observe those skill set, the outcome of those skills. And that's what the competency is. So every job that we are in have a particular group of competencies. As you can see, different jobs require you to be very effective in communication. Some of them expect you to have analytical skills, and some need you to make different active learning. You need to be constantly learning because of where you are, right? Because of that. So if you want to grow your staff, your current staff, then that will be the competency is you are focusing on what the job is right now. Your job is. If you want to see what the competencies are for your current job, you can look at the job description. You can look at if you've been in your job for a while, you should be able to look at your reviews to see what are some gaps that your manager have identified as need improvement, or things that you can improve in. Those are some of the competencies. There's also another set of ways you can get competency. It's called informational interviews. This is when you talk to somebody who is in a position that you want to be in. You're reviewing that person's job description, or you are talking to that person. You can learn about the competency required to be successful in that person's job. You can ask them, what did you do? How did you do it? What are the things that really help you be successful into that job? Core competency, a lot of programs, when we create them for overall organization, a lot of time we create those competencies that are present at all positions. So it's not you can create a program that is specific for your group, for your position, or you can create competencies that you can find competencies that are general, that no matter what positions you are in, you would need those competencies to be successful. Some competencies can be job specific, like I mentioned, or or it can be core competencies for your job. In order to be successful in a particular job, you'll need to be good at those specific things. So for example, if I'm going to create a program for my staff, the first thing I probably would do is start looking at, like I mentioned before, look at specifically at those reviews that I've had. Where are some gaps that I have? Am I seeing communication gap over and over and over again? For my manager's training, am I seeing in reviews that I've had, do I see delegation issues? Do I see critical learning issue, customer focus things, or professionalism or system thinking? Or teamwork. Those are some general competencies that are important no matter what role you are in. And so when you are creating a training specifically for organization, you can look at those competencies that adaptability, communication, you can look at continued learning, customer focus. Those are some general. But if I was looking for a specific position, then I would need to figure out what is specifically needed for that role. For example, if I have an HR assistant in my company, and I know that this person aspired to be an HR coordinator. So while all of the general competencies I just listed are important for that person, I will start honing into the specific things that this individual need to do. So I would probably start getting this person, getting them into some employee relations, maybe get them some courses to understand what is employee relations. How do you do that? And, especially if they want to be a HR generalist, I meant to say, I would probably, what they aspire to be. What is that? I'll probably start exposing them to some benefit questions that I have. I would expose them to some compensation a little bit, and different things within the HR field with their, maybe if I have a research to do on training and development, I probably would, let them talk to some employees to start understanding what it is that they want to do. And so I'm starting to little by little getting these people, my staff understand what they need to do from a competency perspective to be successful. So for you to create competency, for those competencies, you need to, again, data is everything. We always go back to the data points that you have within your organization in order for you to be able to answer the question and create courses that are specific to your organization. We can say, this company or this group of people provide X, Y, and Z. This is what they need for their employees, because in their annual review, or not annual review, but in their survey, they mentioned, maybe staff mentioned they wanted more training. And so now you are providing that specific training. We know that within organization, there are certain training that are that every manager, people should do. Like you're talking about law, different laws are changing all the time. You want to make sure you do that. You want to make sure that you're giving sexual harassment training. Those things are general that I would make sure that I do that. If you have training specific to systems that you use for your organization, you want to make sure that those are giving that you're going to do. If I have a lot of new manager, I know for sure that I'm going to create a training on how to interview, because I want to make sure there's some consistency in what I do of how people interview. So there are general courses that we can just, as we are creating those training plans, we can automatically put there. We want to make sure if you just have a new employee guide, If you don't have a new employee guide since if your employee guides was written before 2020, I strongly encourage you to go and review it. And after you review it, you want to make sure that you roll it out and let employees know what has changed. A lot of benefits have changed. So you want to make sure that you update that with your employee guide so employees understand what has changed as well. And so we have some general courses. So when you're creating competencies, you want to look at, you want to look at all of the data points that you have to make sure that you are providing specific courses that are relevant to your employee population. And also you can kind of break it down to position as well. So not only do I have general courses, but I have specific courses for general groups of departments. So for what IT have to take, the level of courses that they have to make sure that they stay current is going to be different than somebody in marketing. But the courses that marketings have to take, it's not directly the same thing that the HR will have to take. So make sure that while we are creating a general course that could be relevant to everybody in the organization, that could bring value to them, make sure you're also looking at competencies for people within their job and see how they can continue to grow in that as well. So we have talked about, if there's any question, please feel free to put it in the comment section, but we are looking at we just talk about goal setting. And so for the goal setting, you want to make sure that you are looking at your organizational mission, vision, statement, understand what direction your organization is going. And from once you know that, you can start setting what the objective of your course is. So your objective or the goal of your course could be to increase customer service. It could be to increase the number of if it's a sales, you can say you want to increase sales by X amount of dollars. If you're creating a training program specifically for the sales team, maybe the organization is increasing by so much, financial. And so this is going to be cascading down to everybody within their department as well. So you want to make sure, how does that goal relate to everybody in the organization and also from an individual department as well. All right, so that's competencies. The next thing, once you know your competency, we can start talking about gap analysis. And what the gap analysis is helping you understand where you are today and where you want to be, So where am I today? Today I am, you can talk about, if you look at you put all of your themes from the data points that you have, from your survey, themes from exit interview, themes from stay interview, if you do those, theme from one-on-one interview, themes, you combine those themes with employee relations meetings that you've had. If you take all of that together, you have those themes, it will tell you exactly where you are. And then we can start looking at we start looking at reviews. We start looking at the reviews that we've had. We see the comments that managers have. I always encourage people who do reviews to not only allow the managers to put feedback, but also give the employees an opportunity for them to tell you how they feel that they perform for the previous year or the previous quarter. So because that will tell you where you are and where they think they are. And so if if the manager tell me they are at a 2 and the employees think that they are at 10, there's some conversation that needs to happen there to understand, it's not aligned. So we want to make sure that we can figure out what the misalignment is. So the gap analysis helps you analyze your present state, which we talked about reviewing all those data points. It's recognize your target state. Once you have the current state, you know what competencies the people have, you understand what the competency, the jobs that you have within your organization, what it requires, then we can understand what is the gap. What is the gap? What's the middle? And how can we bridge the gap? And the trainings that we are providing should be able to close some of those gaps. Gaps of communication, gaps of accountability. If you have finance, you may need to strengthen the skills of the finance team. If you're an HR, that's why we continue to take continual education courses to make sure that we are staying relevant into the field. We continue to grow because educated population is going to provide so much more, right? The more I know, the more I can provide, the more I can contribute to the bottom line. And so we want to make sure that we are the gap may not be referred, it can also be called need assessment. Sometimes we hear gap analysis and sometimes we hear needs assessment, but it's basically, it refers to the space between where we are and where we want to be. And so is there anyone who are in this stage in their, who had a training before, have you, who have a current training plan? Do you know what your gap is? Is there a gap in your organization? Do you feel there could be some, what is the gap? What do you think it is? Please feel free to chat in the chat. Please put it in the chat. So when I think about training and development, when I think about the gap, what we are all trying to do is executing the business strategy that drive result. And that's what it is. When we are creating those trainings, when we are assessing the competencies, when we are assessing the gap that our employee is, we are trying to execute on the strategy that drives business result, and we are helping our employee to execute on those business results as well. And so, if we don't take the time to really understand the gap, this is when we start seeing some what I call it symptoms of organization. Sometimes we see the symptoms that comes up as turnover. We see symptoms that come up as we see it as low engagement. We see symptoms as low productivity. So those are the symptoms that there is something, and sometimes it's a learning gap. Sometimes it's not. It's something else, something easier, right? We can take care of right away. But a lot of time we want to make sure that where there are issues, where those issues come up, we want to make sure that we address them. So the best way to create a training plan is to proactively create a plan, to start thinking about before it becomes a problem. A lot of time when we create training plans, we create them because we start seeing those symptoms that I just talked about, some of those symptoms, and as a result, you are trying to solve it. But if you are in that position where you are proactively doing that, that's okay. Well, you know, that's great. If you are reactively doing it, that's good too. So we want to make sure that's, you know, the thing is we want to provide your employees what they need to be successful. So we take a little, when we are designing program, are you like I mentioned before, some of the questions we need to ask, are we designing, are we making sure that we are designed to deliver on the goal of the objective that we have, the goal that we have that is aligned to the business mission, vision, and strategy? We want to make sure that if we have training, we are providing training for those coming into our organization. Hiring, we want to hire with intentionality to support the drive, the need of the business. And so when we know what competencies we need for a job, we can hire the right person to begin with, right? We can hire people who have the aptitude to be successful in that job. And when we write the job description, we can write it. We said, we need this person to have a boom, boom, X, Y, and Z. We can really dictate that from the beginning. And also when we have a good training plan, we are able to motivate our people the way with a motivation that will boost engagement. We want engagement. We want people to feel like what we are doing, they are part of it. They are part of the organization, and they feel very, they feel part of what we are doing. And finally, if there are any trouble spot under the surface that could risk the business, we want to make sure that we address that. When we look at this from this lens, it provides you the ability to uncover the why behind why people may be leaving your organization, why people are not executing properly, and also help you understand missed target. If we are not meeting our financial target, once we know what those competencies are, we can be able to do that. Any question on that? Now that you've had a chance to create the class, you create the training plan, you know what the goal is. We have been able to identify competencies for the position. We have been able to identify gaps. We know where we are, and we know where we want to be. We can start thinking about that. So from that perspective, you are ready to start creating courses. So as part of knowing what the gap is, you are now at a stage where you can say, okay, I want to provide training, and you provide what course of trainings that you want to provide, because the gap is telling you directly. It's telling you directly what those gaps are. So for example, you can provide conflict resolution. Maybe the system is your analysis is that you just did, the diagnostic that you just did, and finding out what your goal is. Now you have the goal. Now you know what the competencies, now you know what your gaps are. You can say, okay, my sales team needs sales training. My employees need conflict resolution. Maybe we need some human resources solution. Maybe we can provide some agility training, and so on and so forth. I just want to make sure. So it all depends on what you are doing, what it is. You can figure out what classes you can provide once you know what your goal for the training is. Once you know what the core competencies are, you understand what your gap is. Now the gap are the courses you start offering. Any question on that? We are very quiet today. I have a quiet team, quiet group of people. So, but yeah. So one of the, this is where we are with this right here. Is there, when I think about the last 2 years, two years of my life, I can think about so many things that I needed to, that I use the competency. I had to do a competency analysis on myself and understand in the role that I am right now, if I'm going to be successful, what do I need to learn? What do I need to work on? Because the previous role that I have, there are some core competencies that are relevant no matter what position that I am in. But right now, what do I need to do? And so once I have that figured out, I understand what my goal is, what my the competency for success. I understand what my current competency and what are the gaps are. I'm able to address them. You may not be, I always tell people, when you create a training, don't think that your training will be able to do it right away, within a year, within, some people create a year and a half, 2-year plan, or a full year plan, not just a couple months, because a couple months won't be able to solve the whole problem, but you can do snippets, little by little, you can get there. And so I worked for a nonprofit for a very long time. And when I was at this nonprofit, when I started, they didn't have any training plan at all for the staff. And the staff, when we think about what could we do, this is the same process that I did. This is a company when I joined, they were 80 years old and they did training here and there. People went to training for specific job requirements, but never did any training for overall for staff. And this is one of the things that I did. I used the same process. The other thing that I didn't mention in this that I did was, while I was doing each step of the way, I had a group of employees that I would run things by. You want to make sure that when you have buy-in from, of course you have buy-in from leadership, but you want to make sure that you communicate that you have a group of employees who can be able to help sell the idea of the training and development, sell whatever initiatives that you are trying to do. You want to have champion throughout your organization. And when you have those champion, and they can go, they have ears that you don't. They are part of conversation. You're not there. They can let you know what, I think I hear this from other staff that they need help with this. You can confirm it by looking at competencies that are required for those jobs. You can also confirm it by all of the different data points and the themes that you've been putting together. And then if you feel like this is validated, then provide those courses to your employees. Bottom line is you want them to be successful. And if the employees are successful, your organization is being successful, because the employees are the biggest asset of your organization. And they are the one that is making sure that we are meeting our customers' demand. Any questions? Again, very quiet group. Very quiet group. We have, one of the things that I wanted to offer is that People Architectural Group, as I mentioned, we are a training and development organization. We provide training and development to mid to small size organization. We are there to support individuals who are looking. If you have a training plan, you would like somebody from my staff or myself to take a look at that plan and make sure that it is relevant, it is meeting the needs of your organization. You just need an eye on it. It would be an honor to take a look at it. If you sign up, if you reach out to us within the next 24 hours and let us know that you're interested in partnering with us to facilitate training for you, then we will be able to, one, review your training program, make suggestions as make suggestion. And if you pay by the end of this month for however many training that you are willing to, you would like us to deliver, then we will hold off. We can deliver the trainings anytime between now and June 9th, 2023. So you have a year. If you pay for your training by the end of this month, by the end of June 2022, you will have up until 2023 to for us to deliver those training for you. Any questions at all? Let me see. Okay, so right now, oh my goodness, I don't know how long you haven't been able to see the slide. Let me stop and share again. Can you see now? Okay, can you see that now? Okay, sorry about that. All right, so we talked about the course. Did you see that slide as well? Maybe not. Oh my goodness. I don't know how long I've been talking and looking at the slide by myself. I apologize for that. But we talk about this slide. Did you see this one, Colin?
Yeah, we left off on that slide.
Okay, so we talked about some core competencies. We also talk about where you are. This is the gap analysis, where you are now and where you want to be. And this is the difference between a bridge gap is the transition from one state to another. So the courses that we are trying to do is the bridge. We're trying to close the gap from where you guys are, from where the organization is. And then we talked about some potential classes that you can provide once you know what the goal is. The goal of the training, once we know the competencies, we know the gap, and we can start looking at courses that we can provide for your organization. And then we also talk about if you sign up between now and the next 24 hours for us to facilitate a class for you, a training for your staff, we will, as a result of you signing up within the next 24 hours, we will be able to review your training program for you, your current training program, if you have one. If you develop one, we can give you suggestion on that as well, and make recommendations. And then if you pay by the end of this month for any sessions that you would like us to deliver for you between now, we will hold that registration. You'll have a whole year to deliver that. So if you have, it's always good to spread those courses, to give people enough time to practice them, to be able to apply them into their day-to-day work. So we will be able to hold any course that you pay for by the end of June. We'll be able to hold that valid. It'll be valid until 6/9/2023, a year from today. If I am not connected with you on social media, I would love to be connected with you. So please reach out to us. After this session, we will email a copy of this webinar to everyone who was registered. And so if you'll be able to take a look at it, review it. And if you have any questions, we hope you will reach out to us and let us know how we can be of a support to you. I want to thank everyone who was able to join us today. And we hope you will join us at future sessions. And we hope you have a phenomenal day. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.